I was a bridesmaid until I got kicked out for my hair, which, by the way, I can't control. I know I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start back at the beginning and I'll tell you exactly what I went through over this crazy ordeal. For my friend's 3-day wedding, I had to buy 3 different dresses, including alterations, specific shoes, which totaled over $700. She also wanted specific hairstyles for each day. Unfortunately, starting in March, my hair started to deteriorate. Due to health reasons, my hair was falling out by the chunks, and in May, I made the difficult decision to cut my hair. I told the bride about my decision 2 weeks before the wedding. She didn't say anything bad. The following week, she came over to my house, and when she was about to leave, she brought up that she was concerned about my haircut, and told her it would look good enough even though I would not be uniform with other bridesmaids. The following day, I received this message. After our recent conversation, I'd like to remind you of my boundaries. I've been very accommodating and graceful, but I can't allow you to be disrespectful to me. As you know, my wedding has been something I've dreamed of for many years. Husband and I have invested a lot of money into the video and photos for this day. As we reflect on this day in the further future, we want to see our vision reflected in the memories. Since I asked each of you to be bridesmaids in 2019, I've been very clear and very communicative in my request. The timing of your decision to cut your hair and not income in advance is very upsetting to me. I would have never felt this respected if you had communicated with me more than a week prior to the wedding. So we could have worked together to find a collaborative solution. Your inconsistencies have concerned me, and while I sympathize with your health concern, I'm not willing to compromise my vision to accommodate you when you've informed me in advance and we could have found a better solution. Since this is something you can no longer fully commit to, I need you to please step down from participating in my wedding. Well, this was 3 days before the wedding. I immediately sent her and her husband an invoice asking them to reimburse for the dress and shoes, keeping in mind that one of the dresses is still in her possession, even though I paid for it. Neither of them replied, and so I decided to take them to court. I was told I was inconsistent and selfish after I spent the past 2 weeks helping her plan the wedding shower. I worked with another bridesmaid to surprise her with a bridal shower after our bachelorette trip had to be canceled. I spent hours helping her out with the wedding details. When she asked me to help her tone up before the wedding, I sent her a personalized workout program and even went with her to the gym to show her the ropes. When I agreed to be her bridesmaid, I was more than willing to oblige with what she asked, even if at times it was a lot of time and money. So, am I the a-hole for taking her to court because she kicked me out for cutting my hair? Alright guys, Mr. Reddito here. This story gets even more insane. Let me know your thoughts in the comments about this one. If you're not subscribed to the channel, take a second to hit that subscribe button and just know it helps support the channel immensely. Here's the update. This has been a long time coming. I've had a lot of people reach out to me asking what the results of the case have been. Unfortunately, I could no longer post comments on my previous post as well. I figured I would wait until everything was done to update everyone all at once. In December 2021, I got the notification that a court date had been set, February 7th, 2022. It would be a virtual hearing, and since it's small claims court, we would represent ourselves. I began gathering my evidence and created a virtual file, which I shared with the court and her 7 days before the hearing. On the day, she did show up. We were given the chance to settle, but that was unsuccessful. When we returned to the hearing, I found out that she had made a virtual file with her evidence, but never shared it with me. The court then made her share it, and what a surprise I had. She'd copied my entire format from presenting evidence. Keep in mind that it is a format I created. She did not even have the decency or brain cells to make something up herself. The hearing proceeded, and we were both given a chance to share our side. I won't go into the details, but it took about 15 minutes. In my state, they do not give the verdict right away. It can take up to 90 days. And so, I waited. And waited. And waited and waited and waited. Then yesterday, May 5th, almost 90 days after, I got a verdict. I won. She's been ordered to pay me the total of $808 for the dresses and shoes. I have to return 2 dresses and shoes to her that I have. The verdict goes into effect May 30th. I don't see her appealing it, or fingers crossed she doesn't. All in all, I'm very happy with the outcome and so ready to close this chapter. Thank you to everyone who's been so invested in this with me. I hope this was the season finale you were looking forward to. P.S. My hair and health are doing much better. My 3 bald spots are growing again. I couldn't be happier. So that story is classic Bridezilla. Let's read a couple comments. I'm so tired of people using disrespect in this way. The way Bridezilla did. Every single thing that happens in life that you don't like, you disagree with, or is a result of people living their lives without you, as the main character, isn't disrespectful. This was a medical issue. This is when the other commenter said, if the bride really thinks OP somehow made her hair fall out on purpose just to disrespect her, she should ask herself what she did to lose OP's respect. But I doubt her mind works that way. Yeah, guys, it's mind-boggling to me that this was a medical issue. It should have never been a problem. Let me know how you're feeling about this story. We have an absolutely crazy story coming up next, and it does come complete with an update. The title is, My Fiance and I decided to break up, but she could not move out due to the new COVID lockdown. After about 4 months isolating with her, I've realized I don't want to break up anymore. Let's get right to it. My fiance and I have been dating since college, and as soon as we graduated, I proposed to her. However, we decided to get married only once we're both financially stable and okay with our jobs. 2 years down the road, we've also been living together for that long. We now meet these requirements. However, our love for each other disappeared. Or at least the spark we used to have. We became very busy. Her with graduate education plus a job, and me with my work. I admit, I've been spending way too much time in the office, and once I get home, I use my free time to get ahead with deadlines and my own stuff. She's also consistently stressed and just juggling her education and teaching job. We never had time for each other anymore, but we were still busy enough to even notice that. Then March came. She approached me with the subject and we had a long talk. It was an emotional one. We've known each other for so long after all, and we were reaching our end after so many years. She was already in the process of booking flights to stay with her parents for a while when the lockdown was announced. She decided not to go home anymore in fear of possibly carrying the virus and infecting her family. I agreed with that decision, and since then we've been isolating together. We're both working from home now, and she's also finished her studies in April. Because of that, we've been having a lot of free time. At first, it felt a bit awkward. I didn't even know how to talk to her anymore. I got used to short and empty small talk with her, but she's always known how to get me out of my shell. So it did not take long before we were having these full conversations once again. I just found out that she has a newfound love for playing Sims 4. She showed me the family she was playing with currently, and I noticed that it was herself and me, plus a dog and cat whose names are our birth years. She's been so shy initially, but she doesn't know what I also feeling flustered. I think that this is the start of questioning our decision to break up. After that, it was the small things. I also called her on how my life's been, like my shitty supervisor, how I've not been taking care of my health lately, etc. And since then, she started pushing me to work out with her, and she's also been trying to get me into healthier options for food. I also came to find out new things about her in these months, which surprisingly considered how we've been together for many years now. These past few months have been really good. I felt like I was brought back times when we first met, and I feel like a high schooler with a silly crush. The thing is, I'm not sure if I can trust my instincts right now. The only person I've had contact with is her, except for my frequent calls with my family and friends. I may just be having an infatuation. I don't know. I also think we're lucky since we both are very free right now. But I keep thinking, what happens after the lockdown ends? Will we go back to being those busy people that have too little time for each other? I also don't know how to approach her with this. She's always been the talker in our relationship, but at the same time, I'm also afraid to talk about it and potentially ruin things for us right now. What if she doesn't feel the same? What if she's just treating me kindly because that's what she is, a genuinely kind person? The only hope I'm holding on to right now is the fact that she doesn't or hasn't planned on going back to her family. Yet, despite domestic travel being allowed in our country now. Alright guys, there's an update for this story, so we're gonna hop into that right now. Although I did not get a reply to any of the comments except for one, I made sure to read all of them on my main account, so I would like to thank you for the great advice. Here I am now, excited to tell you what happened in the course of 5 days. So, the day after posting this, nothing really happened. I spent that day reflecting on what kind of future I see and want with her. I also thought a lot about the past, how we messed it up, how we both got lost in our jobs, etc. In my original post, I asked if what I'm feeling could just be an infatuation that would go as quickly as it came. But I realized that my feelings for her never really disappeared to begin with. It's like my heart just went into a deep sleep and forgot how many feelings I actually had for her. I think some of you may know and pointed out, I'm not really good at communicating my feelings. I tend to keep things to myself, and my fiance is one of the few people who can be patient with that. Some suggested to write a letter instead, or a note, or marry her in Sims. I ended up with drafts of sappy letters that I ended up throwing away, and a sad attempt to recreate us in Sims, but still, I wanted to make an effort to show her that I couldn't say through words. I've heard about her wanting a few DLCs, downloadable content, in the Sims game in the past. So I had the idea to buy a few of her Sims download contents, pretty expensive, especially in our currency. Surprised her by stealing her laptop for a few hours, and once I gave it back to her, she was elated and happy. It was really nice seeing her get so excited. We played together that whole day and tried to solve the mystery in Strangerville. It was so fun. The next day, I found her in the kitchen trying to bake something. It was blueberry cheesecake recipe that she saw on YouTube. I basically became her cooking assistant that day, helping her as much as I could, and we ended up with a pretty decent outcome that I bet would have tasted better if I hadn't messed up so much. She still said she had so much fun and loved the cheesecake though. The next day, which is just yesterday, something important happened. We were basically just snuggled up on the couch playing when our Sims just autonomously tried for a baby in the bed. It was hilarious. We initially laughed about it, but then we got pretty silent. She then closed her laptop, hugged me tightly without saying anything. I think that was my realization that, oh, she feels the same as I do. So I knew I had to speak up. I'm still impressed at myself for managing to talk yesterday without choking up. Basically, opening the conversation like, quote, "Are you planning to go to your parents soon?" And she said no, she doesn't feel like it yet. I asked her why. She told me she wanted to stay. I told her I wanted her to stay. We then slept that night, just huddled together, and even though we did not really explicitly say it, I think we're now aware of each other's feelings, and it feels like a really huge improvement to me. Earlier, we ate breakfast together. We weren't as chatty as we've been the last few months, but the silence was comforting. We also watched Knives Out together. We had not seen that conversation yet, but I'm going to bring it up to her tonight. I'm really glad this whole ordeal went much more nicer than I expected it would. I'm relieved I did not let my doubts get the best of me, though I still have to get better with how I communicate things. I'm going to learn for her. Thanks to everyone who left nice comments in my original post. I apologize again if there's any mistakes. So there was a comment made by OP. Let's check it out now. This one's crazy. Right now, my fiance's sleeping next to me. Yes, we had the talk. As soon as I posted this, I logged out and gathered myself so I can tell her what's been in my mind for months. It's not really something so exciting. We basically just sat down together, talked about what went wrong before. I told her the things I said in my last post, and she admitted to worrying about what happens after the lockdown gets fully lifted too. We both acknowledged that we worked hard to become financially stable so that we can get married. Right now, though, all we could do is promise and talk about how we're going to manage our time better, since we have no idea if our country's ever going to return to normal. And then we talked about our feelings. I gotta tell her, I love her again. For the first time in years, probably, and she told me the same. After that, it was back to lighter conversation. We basically just bonded until we fell asleep. Well, guys, it turns out that was an amazing little side update. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's video. If you're not subscribed, you know what to do, and I will catch you guys in the next one.